Welcome to the Tech Trek, where technology leaders share their insights, experiences, and views. Every week I bring you a new guest. And on today's episode...
Hello, Amir. My name is Susan Dikramanjan, and I work for John Hancock, Manulife, and I am part of the IT leadership team at John Hancock. Part of my responsibilities I'm responsible for the Storefront teams, which have our producer as well as end user storefronts, as well as the teams in the back end that maintain the APIs, and our platform teams, which cover our AKS, Salesforce, AEM, and other platforms. John Hancock, and it's a pretty famous company, but for those of you that don't know, we're part of the Manulife umbrella, and that's a global company that offers financial services and insurance products.
Susan, thank you for being on. Excited to have you talk to us about upskilling, especially around, ensuring your team's optimal efficiency, performance, execution. I think you're going to have some amazing tidbits to share. I'm excited for you to be on.
Thank you, Mia, for having me.
Absolutely. So I know, previously you'd mentioned to me that, you'd gone through to set up an upskilling program at Manulife. I guess, could you maybe just start off and tell us a little bit about what that program was, just at the highest level?
I do believe in the saying that says knowledge is power. And I view myself personally as a lifelong learner and always try to instill this in any team that I manage. So throughout the years, I've always ran some sort of a hackathon or lunch and learn programs. But this particular one, the one that we're going to talk about today, was driven by the need of a particular talent on my teams, and that was Salesforce talent. About a year ago, we found ourselves with the need for a large number of Salesforce engineers because our storefronts are built using Salesforce. But we had some Salesforce engineer and a large number of Java engineers. Now, the program we're going to talk about is specific around that, but the knowledge and the advice could be applied to any sort of upskilling program.
So I guess, maybe, you mentioned it's around Java, Salesforce. What precipitated the need for the program to come about? What problems were you seeing that you felt you needed to have an upskilling program put in place?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, our storefronts are built using Salesforce. And at the time, we found ourselves with the need of more and more Salesforce engineers to help out with that build out, but we didn't have. And as you know, Salesforce engineers have come at a premium cost, and they're also hard to find on the market. So we were faced with the challenge of not having enough, and we decided to teach ourselves of how to use the platform. I mean, the platform is pretty easy for anyone who's used it. It's built for citizen type of development, so it is very easy to learn. And having been an engineer myself, I know that I'm pretty confident that I can take any Java engineer or object-oriented engineer and teach them and convert them into Salesforce engineers. So that was the onset, and that was what drove the need for that program. We started it and I guess one thing that I want to mention is we started the program, but we started it as in a very structured way. Now, I don't want the viewers to think that this is some sort of a formal with a lot of overhead. It's not. However, we didn't just tell people, hey, go and learn Salesforce. Go download the trail mixes and learn on your own. We actually created a use case in the context of which the engineers could learn, because that way there is an actual deliverable. And what we did is we started with a set of trail mixes, but that was a means to an end. That wasn't the program itself. In other words, we didn't really reward the people for completing X number of trail mixes or getting this kind of badge or this kind of level. The objective of the program is to complete a working program, a very simple program, right? It could be Fahrenheit to Celsius converter or meters to inches converter, but a small application that will force you to use the different things of the platform that it has to offer. So we started with a set of trail mixes that everybody could use as a means to an end. They don't need to use those, right? If they want, they can go into their own search as a means to an end to complete the program. And by the way, this is not a once and done thing. We've covered many, many, many topics using this sort of model. And at the end, we have a small competition where there's a small prize, right? Obviously, the biggest prize is the knowledge that people earn and gain in the course, as well as the benefit to the team and the company. But also, we gamified it a little bit and offered prizes.
I guess, I'm listening and I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. Like, you have a shortage of Salesforce engineers. What better way than helping people upskill? You said it sounds pretty complicated, even though, when you describe it, I'm like, oh, okay, some of this makes sense. Like, how did you start though? Like, I mean, you obviously had this idea. Did you need approvals? Was it more like a pilot? How did you start? Because obviously that would be my first question. It's like, okay, great. I'd like to do something similar, but how did you go about getting this even started?
I guess we were lucky that at John Hancock, we have a lot of autonomy to act whenever is the best interest of everybody, right? And we're encouraged to do that. So we said, all right, for next quarter, we operate on quarterly boundaries and we plan our quarters. And then we have multiple sprints within the quarter. But so for next quarter, let's dedicate a portion of our time to accomplish the ask, that is to deliver a completed working application using Salesforce, right? Every engineer we use Jira, so every engineer had on their Jira board an application that they need to deliver that was assigned points. So it wasn't something that we've asked them to do in their off hours, or without much direction. They actually had that as a deliverable. So we gave them the time. That's basically we're investing in our teams and in the future of the team as a whole. So we gave them the time, we gave them the assignment, and then they were free to execute however they want, but we gave them enough support. Now, in terms of approvals, you're right. It's not that we said, okay, for the next 1 year, we're going to do this every quarter. Let's try it. Let's see how it works, and then adjust in a true agile fashion.
And I guess when you mention, you set aside in that quarter some time for people to go do this, I guess, and again, I don't know how the scope is, whether you're, crossing other teams, matrix individuals, but, how did it impact, let's say if I wanted to join, or you had somebody who's like, I want to be a part of this. What happened to that person, their manager? How did that, understanding work that this person has X, time that they're going to allocate to this program?
In my opinion, I don't think it has to be this formal, in the sense that when we ask somebody to participate, it comes with the understanding that this person now is going to go above and beyond, and there is something in it for them as well, right? And that is that they're going to gain the knowledge. So it's not that we mandate everybody to do it, but we reach to the people that we think would be interested, and it comes with the understanding that they're still accountable for their overall deliverables. And if it's 10% less, let's say, it's not the end of the world, right? They can dedicate that 10% to the program. And oftentimes what I find, Amir, is that when people are asked to work on something fun, on something exciting, something that benefits them personally, they usually find the time to do it. So we didn't have that much problem, to be honest, with people saying, oh, I can't meet my deliverables because of this. Obviously, we were conscious, specifically on the people that were directly under me, that we reduced a little bit the ask of a deliverable by, say, 10%. But it's not that nothing else could be done in that quarter because of this program. We took it in a very agile way. It's not that we said we're going to learn all of Salesforce. No. With the first step, we said we're going to use Omni Studio, right? That was one concrete ask. We're going to use Omni Studio. We're going to create one simple thing, and that's it. We're done. So I didn't find really that to be a challenge. And for those people that said, "Oh, I can absolutely not deliver on my deliverables," okay, you don't have to be part of the program. But what happened is, because all the cool things were getting discussed during these sessions, people actually wanted to be part of the team.
Did you see word of mouth spreading? Because you mentioned you were approaching people to be on. Was there a case that all the people were, employees were talking and said, hey, I'm part of this cool thing, and other people reaching out to want to be a part of it at all?
Absolutely. And the team is still continuing. It's not that we finished that. So recently I had someone reach out to me and said, hey, I heard you guys are doing this. Can I be part of it? And again, the disclaimer up front is yes, but you can't just be joining calls. There is a deliverable actually with every exercise. So are you prepared to do that? And usually people just say yes. It's also up to us as leaders to create the hype, to create the excitement around it, and so people want to join.
I guess, I understand some of the benefits of pushing people through the program, upskilling people. When you're, I guess, approaching people and trying to select people, what are some of what were you looking for? Because obviously there's a lot of employees. Were you looking for certain attributes? Were you looking for some backgrounds? Is there anything that, any kind of drivers of why you reached out to certain people to join?
Yeah. We basically asked people to join who were ready to commit, in the sense that, like I mentioned before, there is an understanding that there's going to take a little bit of time and effort. And those were the folks that we approached. Now, there were people that after the first time said, okay, I can't keep up. And basically they dropped off, and some joined. But the benefits here are pretty clear to the company. Obviously, now we end up with a workforce that's a lot more diversified in their skill set. So we can deliver on our outcomes pretty fast. And also to the individual themselves, it's pretty valuable because their value on the market goes up immediately. Once they have another skill, I am an ex-developer, like I said, and I know that the more skills you have, the more marketable you are. So there is a win-win benefit. And those were the types of people that we approached. It's not like we said, oh, okay, if you have a certain rating or something, as long as you're ready to commit, you're welcome to join.
Yeah, the program's still ongoing. And obviously, it seems like a very interesting opportunity for someone to learn new skills. Have you seen other managers, other departments, other teams, tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, Susan, this is really cool. How do I set something up in my department for my technology?"
Definitely, and we want to expand it globally. We started with one segment, right? We want to expand that globally, but recently our platform team has taken on the model, and what we're doing is upskilling people there on different set of skills like Terraform and all of those skills that are needed in that space. But we're taking the same approach where, say for the Terraform, we'll say, okay, using Terraform, provision an asset with a certain parameters, right? Again, it's not go read about this thing, but that's the key difference, I guess, of our program. But there is a deliverable, a very concrete deliverable that in order for you to achieve that, you have to learn all the other things. But the outcome is not, I read this many articles, or I did this reading, or I got this certificate. But actually, I was able to complete something and deliver a product, right? A small product.
I guess, you mentioned the reason you started it. Obviously, it was a resource challenge. The program's been in place for a little bit of time. Have you noticed, I guess, what you hope to set out to achieve in terms of some of those, capacity constraints that you mentioned? Have you seen, any impacts at all?
Yeah, definitely. I like to give concrete examples. We have a lot of teams that now have become what we call a full stack team, right? It's not a front end team or a back end team, but it is a team that's very self-contained, that can and does execute on any problem that is thrown at them, right? So concretely speaking, one of the back end teams that was part of this initiative and still is part of the initiative, at Manulife, we want to be a digital customer leader. And part of that, and also we are involved in a lot of environmental initiatives. So part of that is paper reduction. And this one team, which is working right now around eliminating certain paper mailings that we send to our customers, is now capable of doing the job end to end, because they have the back end, skill set already. And the front end piece, we don't have to take the capacity from the storefront teams, which are working on other initiatives, but they can actually pick up this work and execute it end to end, which obviously contributes to the speed, the velocity, the efficiency. There's no dependencies. There's no handoffs between different teams. It's one unit that's contained and executing everything.
How long has the program been in place, by the way? I don't think I asked you that.
We started last year around April, and we have been continuing with different topics that, again, same model. We take a topic and we deliver a finished product.
Just out of curiosity, when you come up with the topic, to come up with these, actual, functioning pieces of code, somebody's actually working hands-on, not just, textbook random stuff, but you're actually having to produce something, however big or small. How do you decide what that is? Like, is it just you? Is there a group of people? But how do you actually decide, like, hey, for this exercise, we should create X?
So initially it was driven by the need. Like I said, initially we started with a general program. That was the first iteration where we said anything, any program, right? Because we have to get our hands dirty with the platform. The second one was around Omni Studio, and that was an actual need that we had. The third one was something that we thought was very interesting. We read the technology insights and all that was around functions. And then in essence, we have a curated curriculum that we keep adding as the developers hear, a lot about OpenAI right now and, that usage within Salesforce platform. As we hear things, as we read releases, we put them on a curriculum that we keep maintaining. And then when we finish one, then we say, okay, the next one is coming up. Is this still something everybody's interested in? Usually if it is, we keep it. If not, we bring up one of the other ones. And what we've started doing is the very first one, again, as a leader, I said, okay, I'll lead the first one. I was myself a novice. So taking the plunge and jumping into a completely new area was kind of, I said, okay, I'll do it first. But now for the next ones, we nominate a champion for that topic. And usually that's a person that's not really an expert in that topic. And that person takes the time. We decide together on a very small deliverable, like I said, and then that person takes the time, goes offline, researches it. A lot of times it involves spinning up sandboxes or different environments and actually executes on the deliverable. Now, what that means is the rest of the team, if they get stuck along the lines, they have somebody to ask for help. But they're still accountable for doing their own part. And at the end, we have the demo session. So to answer your question again, we have a curriculum that people keep adding on. It's not super formal. And then for each of the lines in that curriculum, we have a champion who takes it and delivers it.
Interesting. I know you've referenced agile development, kind of to the spirit of the program, make sure it keeps improving. What sort of feedback loop do you have to kind of bring back the feedback from the people going through the program and kind of learning from their experiences and kind of improving things?
Great question. So the feedback is we have a Teams chat, and then we share the feedback constantly. So it's very agile, very real time. And we've had to adjust. For one of the topics that we did, for example, we started one way, but we found that the environments we had didn't support that. And so we pivoted and adjusted. And so the feedback is constant, continuous, like daily. And I think the one feedback that we've received and something that we believe in actually is keep it informal. Again, there is the formality around the actual deliverable, but other than that, it's not that people have to view certain, videos or something like that. However, the person wants to reach to the end goal is up to them. Of course, we provide the scaffolding, if you will, so that they're not completely on their own, but, different people are at a different skill set levels. So they have that freedom. So the feedback is continuous, and like I said, we've expanded it now to other areas as well.
I guess when you look back now, I mean, the program has been in place for, a little bit of time. If you had to go back and restart your own program now from scratch, is there anything in particular that you look back and go, now that I've done, now with the knowledge of the year and change, I would do, certain things differently?
I would say not with this particular case, but I guess over the years, I've learned specifically that it can't be so unstructured that people can just go and do their own thing, because in that case, you don't reap the benefits, right? People will learn things that are not relevant to your particular case, or, people will just read things but not have actual practical knowledge. So when the time comes for us, because we need that, like if we take as an example the paper reduction, initiative that I was just talking about, at the end of the day, if you can't use one of the engineers that participated in the program in an actual scenario, then there's no point of the program. So that's what I've learned, that it can't be so random that you don't actually have an end goal in mind, but also you don't want to make it as formal that people are discouraged to participate. So I think the middle ground is have an end goal in mind, but let people get there the way that they want. And the main component is that only include people who are actually interested and who are ready to commit to completing, the exercise that was given.
So if you wanted to provide advice to another leader who wants to start an upskilling program, what's like maybe one or two key things that they should know in wanting to set up something like this?
I would say it starts with you. That's what it starts with. Oftentimes I hear in the media or in different podcasts, people saying, okay, you need to learn to delegate. And while that is very true and obviously very important, I think when it comes to things that are new and a little bit scary, right, for people to kind of try them, I think we as leaders have to show the way, and we have to do the first step and continue to support it, show interest, participate actively, because otherwise it's just going to fall apart, right? So that would be my one advice. It starts with you. Lead by example, do the exercises. Obviously, I would not be able to do them to the depth that the developers will do them because of my time constraints and other commitments, but having active participation is key.
I mean, it sounds like a fantastic, case study of trying to solve some of your own capacity constraint issues. The upskilling program is helping people on your team improve their value, not just internally, but overall market. So, I mean, it seems like an amazing thing. Thanks for coming on, sharing. I think a lot of people can benefit from this experience. Before I let you go, I always like to kind of wrap up with this question. I wanted to see what your thoughts were. But if you could have a future guest cover a specific topic for you, something you might be interested in hearing about, what would you like to hear about?
I guess the one thing that I'm always trying to improve and achieve is delivery efficiency. And again, even the program is to support that. So hearing more from other leaders in the industry would be very beneficial. Methods and tactics that they use to achieve optimal efficiency on the teams that they manage.
Awesome. That's definitely a good one. And also, if somebody wants to reach out and connect with you, talk to you about your upskilling program, or just pick your brain about the topic, what is a good way of getting hold of you?
My email is susan.dikramanjan, my last name, @gmail.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn and other social media.
Okay. We'll include your LinkedIn for sure. And obviously, your email is pretty easy to get to. Thank you for being on the show, Susan. Thank you for sharing. It's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Amir. Appreciate it.
That's it for this episode. I'll be back again with a different guest, a different topic. Until then, Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment wherever you are watching or listening to this episode. I can't thank you enough if you do. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.